This is Raj Doraisamy with the Center for Faith and Work, and we're here with Ron Filipkowski, who is running for the office of the Public Defender. Ron, thanks for taking some time to talk with us today.
Sure.
I'd like to maybe get the conversation started off by what would you do as soon as you take office?
Well, the first thing I want to do is convene a summit of all available programs that are in our community. There are so many wonderful agencies and programs that will work with young people, particularly people addicted to drugs in the criminal justice system. The problem is that a lot of these organizations are very small. They're underfunded. They don't know about each other, and the people in the system don't know about them. And so what I'd like to do is get all of them together in the same big room and talk about what we have in common, what works, what doesn't work. What can we do to help you? I'd like to create a website for the Public Defender's Office and put links to some of their programs on that. And finally, I'd like to be a leader in helping a lot of them obtain funding. A lot of them, as I said, are underfunded. The programs need to be expanded, and I'd like to look to the private sector to do that.
Ron, let me just ask you, I don't think this idea of reconditioning the folks who get incarcerated is being done right now. Why do you think that's important?
Well, it's really not. People ask me all the time. I have a slogan on my campaign signs which say that I want to end the revolving door system. The system that we have now is too many people get pled out over and over again to straight jail sentences. I recently had a client who had been arrested 66 times and had just gotten jail sentences over and over again. The problem with that is that we don't do enough to try to put them in a position where they won't come back into the system. And this is what's got to change. We're not doing that now, and we've got to do that in the future if we ever want to stop this constant revolving door of people continuing to commit crime.
I've heard arguments saying that or let me ask the question this way. How effective are these so-called faith-based organizations in terms of helping to transform people before they get reinserted?
Well, look, I have always been an advocate of faith-based, not just because I am a Christian and not just because I'm a religious person. The reason is because they're successful. I've seen some of the most hardened criminals completely turn their lives around. They had been maybe through some other traditional programs, but it was the faith-based program that turned their lives around and changed their hearts. And that's why I'm such a big believer of faith-based programs in the criminal justice system. Now, I knew when I was told when I first started this campaign back in January, look, if you make faith-based programs the centerpiece of your campaign, you have to understand that you're not going to get the support of the traditional media. The newspapers, they're not going to like that, and they're not going to support you in that. And I said, you know, that may be true, but I don't care. And if it costs me the election, then that's fine, but I'm going to do what I think is right. And I know these programs work. I'm an advocate of them. I'm not saying that they're the only programs that we should turn to, but look, we've got to involve our churches more in the criminal justice system. And if we get them more involved, I think we'll see a dramatic effect on crime.
Your opponents might say that you don't have the experience for this office. What is your experience, Ron?
Well, look, my opponent has worked in the Public Defender's Office 23 years, and so when people bring up the experience issue, what they talk about is the fact that I haven't worked inside the Public Defender's Office. He has for a long time, therefore he has the experience. Well, look, what the Public Defender's Office needs is leadership. As far as my experience goes, I've been a federal prosecutor. I'm one of only 2 former federal prosecutors in this entire area. It's extremely difficult to get a job with the Justice Department, and I have that experience. I also ran a police academy here in Sarasota. So I had 30 to 40 instructors, many of them very high-ranking law enforcement officers working under me. I hired them, fired them, trained them, supervised them. So I have a great deal of administrative experience. The other thing is, as I said, my opponent has worked for the government his entire career. He's had one job. I've been in the private sector for the last 8 years. I've run my own small business. And everybody who has run a small business knows that that's a very difficult thing to do. And the mentality of somebody who has only worked for the government their entire career is a lot different than someone who's been in the private sector running a small business. And so a lot of my approach that I take to this job is unique because my background is unique. I served in the Marine Corps, I was a federal and state prosecutor, ran the police academy, and have run my own business. And that's why I have a lot of new ideas to improve the office and make it better.
I've also heard, Ron, that you're running a very non-traditional campaign. How are you actually running your campaign that seems to be different from a lot of your other counterparts?
Okay, non-traditional. I would say it is a traditional campaign. It's just not what people do in recent times. Look, I knew that when I started this campaign back in September, I was going to be outspent. My opponent has a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money. I'm a father. I have 5 children. I'm the sole source of support, and I've never gotten involved in the law to make a lot of money. I got involved in to help people, and that's what I've been doing in my practice. So I'm not a wealthy guy. So I knew I'd be outspent. So how do you deal with that? Well, the only way is to reach out and touch people. And so back in February, I started walking neighborhoods. And I myself have gone to over 7,000 houses and spoken to people, listened to their concerns, talked to them about the justice system. And I think that grassroots effort that I've done, including going and speaking at churches, community organizations, clubs, and the 7,000 people that I've visited myself 6 days a week since February, I think it's going to make a big impact on this race. As far as I know, I'm the only candidate that has done that much door-to-door for any office.
I saw a flyer that had a quote from you where I think you were in a court where you were quoted as saying that you did not know what to do. It gave me the impression that that was connected with your experience level. Can you just fill us in on the context of the comment and the case that you were involved in at the time?
Yeah, I think that flyer, which was mailed out by my opponent, Mr. Eager, I think that tells a lot about both of us, that flyer right there. That was a trial of a young girl who had stabbed and killed somebody, in my view, in self-defense. That person had just brutally raped her cousin and beaten her cousin, and he was coming for her and had actually stabbed her in the hand with a screwdriver when she stabbed him and killed him. So in my view, it was a clear self-defense case. It was also a case where nobody seemed to be helping her. She was in jail, sort of floundering. She couldn't afford to hire an attorney. I was in private practice. And I wanted to do her case because I felt like, in the interest of justice, I just felt compelled to do it. And so I took on her case for free and represented her in that murder trial. Now, the context of the quotes in that article is we were in the last day of trial. Both sides had rested their cases. We were getting ready to give closing argument, and the state wanted to present additional new evidence. At that point, I explained to the judge, I'm totally unprepared for this. I'm not ready. This is completely new. I'm surprised by this, and I'm not prepared to argue this right now, and I would be ineffective if you made me go forward right now with that. And so those are the context of my quotes. Anyway, later that day, she was acquitted. We won the trial after 5 days, and she was found not guilty. But my opponent took those quotes that I said, look, I'm ineffective, I'm not prepared, to try to make it look like I was incompetent in representing her. Of course, he didn't mention anywhere in the flyer that she was actually acquitted and won the case. So it just tells a lot about both of us, my commitment to justice and his willingness to distort the truth to try to make me look bad and win this race.
Ron, thank you very much for taking time to talk with us. Again, this is Raj Doraisamy with Center for Faith and Work. Thank you.